Okay, I'm going to be showing you how to combine two pictures. I have this nice picture of a lake in Britain. Here's a nice church in the background. Here's your bush. It's going to be a tree. And I have a picture of a duck I downloaded from the internet. You can tell these two pictures are different resolutions. And if we put the duck into the picture of the lake and the boats, it would be minuscule. It would just shrink to nothing. So first of all, we're going to be doing a couple of things here that you should always do. And by the way, I have my pictures. This is Elements 9, and I prefer to float my pictures rather than have them glued to the top. You'll notice that these are background layers. They are locked. In order to work with them without any kind of problems, I usually convert them to a regular layer. So just right-click, Layer from Background. On this little dialog, click OK. The same thing with the lake. Oops. Oh, sorry. Do the same thing with the duck. It's also a locked background layer. Layer from background. OK. Another way to do this, I can show you the little trick here. Take the... well, it's not going to undo. But you can also take your background layer and just click and drag it down to the new layer icon. Or with Elements 10, it's probably up to the new layer icon. And then drag the background layer to the trash can to close it. Okay, so now we have two photos here. We want the duck to fit into the bushes. So we're going to change the duck size. And here's a nice little trick when you're combining two or more photos. Click on the duck's photo to highlight it. Go to Image, Resize, Image Size, and don't touch anything. Pull your cursor away. Don't click on a thing. Go up here to Window, and at the bottom there'll be a list of all of the photos you have open. Okay, just click on the photo, and it didn't change the resolution or anything else, but it did change the pixel size. So then just click OK. Boom, look, we've got a big duck now. Okay. What we're going to need to do is we're going to select the duck, and I'm going to do, I'm not going to do what I said in my answer to you. I'm not going to use a mask because I have a Wacom tablet, and using a mask is a lot easier when you're painting with black on something. We're just going to use some of the selection tools. First of all, I notice most of the duck is white or kind of shades of gray. So I'm going to click on the Magic Wand tool because we can use it to select for colors. Make sure over here, starting on the left, I have the add boxes checked. I have the tolerance at 35. Depending upon what you're selecting with it, you might want it lower, you might want it a little higher. Anti-alias is checked. Contiguous is checked. We don't want colors all over the photo check mark. Okay, and then just start clicking on the colors in the duck. And you will notice, it takes a few clicks here. And don't worry, you don't have to get them all with this, just most of them. We're going to get his little orange feet and legs, and we're going to, there we go. That's about all we can do with the Magic Wand tool. And you'll notice it's not all selected. Okay, what do we do next? Now watch, this gray happens to be connected to grays out in the environment. So when you click on it, whoops, you get more than you want. So you can't do that with the Magic Wand tool. But you can do these. Okay. Now, I like to use a selection brush just because, it covers a large area and a lot of space. You can also use the lasso tool if you like to draw around lines. We're going to be using the lasso tool for something in a minute. But right now, use the selection brush. Up here, starting on the left in the option bar, make sure the Add to Selection box is checked. We want not a fuzzy edged brush, okay? We want a nice size, solid edge brush. And, size is going to differ. Mode, you get a choice. Mask or selection. Choose selection. Hardness, leave it at 100%. Click on the magnifying tool. Come up here and give us the area to work in. Okay, obviously we want the duck's eye. So you just kind of scoogee over with the selection brush. Ooh, how easy that is. And you can see the edges. Okay. We want to get down here and get his beak. As much of his beak as we can. There we are. Okay, you have to have, don't go too fast if you haven't selected much before. Now, if you make a mistake, like right about here, instead of going up and clicking the subtract from selection and clicking, okay, just hold down the Alt key and you can subtract. You always subtract from outside. You kind of push it in. Okay, I want that to go down. This beak looks a little weird here, so I'm holding down the Alt key to push it in where I think it belongs. Take my hand off the Alt key. Go down here like this. I always do the edges, and there's a reason for that. Watch. Okay. And you can just go squeeze, squeeze, you can go fast. Okay. And you don't have to get it perfect. I mean, I don't have to right here. Whoops, almost missed his nostril. Then there's some parts here that we have to, and you have to do, you can see, making a selection is one of the most time-consuming things. But if you do it right, then that, makes your picture look right. If you go really fast and do a really fast, sloppy selection, then guess what? Your picture's going to look awful. So it pays to make your selections. Oh, he's got a little knee there. It pays to take your time with your selections. Now over here, we're going to do his little, well, actually we don't have to mess with his feet too bad. I'm going to put him right up here so his head and his upper bodies are in the sky. So just have to worry about his head. That's the other thing to pay attention to. Okay, looking pretty good, looking pretty good. Now, if you just select, copy and paste this as it is, it's going to look like you cut it out with scissors. It's going to have very hard edges. So here's a little trick. Let me get the duck back on the screen. You can see, he's all selected. Okay, go to Select, Modify, Contract, Contract by 1 pixel, and click OK. Then go to Select, Feather, and feather just by 1 pixel. 1 pixel is so small you can't see it with a naked eye. But that's just enough to make your selection look like it hasn't been cut out with scissors. Okay. Now I'm going to, you can copy and paste the duck. I generally like to do Select, Inverse, press Delete on my keyboard. And there's my duck. Press Control and D on your keyboard to get rid of the marching ants. Now he's got a lot of white space around him. So I'm going to use the crop tool over here on the left and the options bar at the top, aspect ratio, no restriction. So I don't want to change him at all. I just want to get rid of the empty space that's there. Boom, there we go. Okay, now let's look over here. We can see our duck's going to be in the background like the church and like the tree. And you can see that, like a lot of places close to water, there's a lot of humidity in the air, and the air is kind of murky looking. And if you look back over here at our duck, he's very colorful and kind of clear looking. So we're going to do a couple things to him. The first thing we're going to do is filter. Whoops, first thing we're going to do is make sure we click on the duck to highlight him. Filter, blur, and we're going to do some Gaussian blur. And I like to see what I'm working with here. And we're going to blur him up just a little bit so he doesn't look so, we don't need him that blurry. But so he looks more like the church in the background. We're going to take out, let's go up to about 3. No, 3's too much. I don't like 3. Go down to about 2.5. The next thing we're going to do is enhance, adjust color, hue saturation, and we're going to lower his saturation. We're going to kind of take the pizzazz out of him. See up here how bright his beak and legs are? Well, we need to take some of that brightness out of there to make him look like he's in the background with that church. Okay, then we're going to take the Move tool, And we're going to move him right over here. And you can see he is a little big. But that's okay. There's nothing like a giant duck, right? Okay. Now, a couple of things we can do. We can lower his opacity and see the tree back here. But what I noticed was that that tree is a lot of the same kind of green colors. So rather than do that, for right now, I'm going to just click the eye and click the duck out of the picture. And I am going to click the layer with my lake. That's the thing with layers. You have to always make sure you're working on the right one. And I'm going to use the magic wand tool again. And I'm going to start selecting this tree. Now, by the way, we have contiguous checked again. We haven't changed any of it. We actually don't need that side of the tree. See if you hit something just the right way. Okay. And then we want to use our selection brush again. Make sure it's on add. And we want to make it bigger. And we want to get in here. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this in just a minute. This is just on the detail parts of it. It makes it a lot, if there's something you can select easily, then select it. But it's especially important up here at the top to get all of our tree parts selected. Okay, that looks pretty good. Didn't get all of it, but we can catch it later. Okay. Now let's zoom in. Right here is very important. Okay, we did a pretty good job. Now, let's click on the lasso tool, polygonal lasso tool. And what we want to do is just make sure it's on add to selection. Oh, we don't need to do it this time. If this does not... Okay, looks like we got most of it. Okay. I'm just going to... Whoa. When you're zoomed in, your brushes get really big. Okay, let's go down to here. And we got the edges pretty good, well taken care of. We need to get the yellow out. Right. That's the other thing. There we go. Whoops. Hold down the Alt key, push those in. Okay. I need this bigger so I can do it faster before I bore you to tears. Okay, there we go. You can also see a lot of the tree here has not been, and we need this part of the tree up here selected. Back to the magic wand tool. There we go, a little bit. Okay. And back to, you can use, any combination of the selection tools will work. Okay, looking good. Like I say, it's especially. Now let's go back to view, fit on screen. Okay, get rid of that and this. Okay, that's pretty good. But it's, like I said, it's especially important up here where the tree and the boat meet the sky. And I'll show you why. There you go. Okie dokie. Now, click on the layer with the duck to highlight it, and then just push delete on your keyboard. Okay? Now, probably would have been good to have this house deleted here. We need to see through it. So let's lower our opacity. And from here on in, you can just use the eraser tool. Oops, it's not doing much. How come? I don't... Oh, because we have a selection already. There we go. You can use the eraser tool. And you can make it big. Because there's no danger of erasing anything too important. There we go. Now you notice duck's still over here in front of this croquet. So we can just erase them over there. Okay, he's kind of poking in right there. Okay, we want to zoom in so we can get him close and away from this church. We're going to lower the size. So again, oops, I don't need this. We don't need the selection brush. And this has a block. So if you're doing a straight line like we are here, you could use the block to get along these edges of the church. There we are. Okay, the last thing to do is to take your opacity and increase it to 100% again. Then go to View, Fit on Screen, and there you have it. A giant duck. Now, the duck may still be too bright. Looks a little bright to me. So what I might want to do, make sure the duck's layer is highlighted. Go back to Enhance, Adjust Color, Hue and Saturation. And, you can bring the duck down a little more to make him look even more like he's in the background. And if you want to, you could add a little more blur, Gaussian blur. That's a little too much. We don't want him. Here we go. Okay. And so there, you end up with the duck behind the tree. Part of him's behind the little church, looking out at the lake. Can you imagine the big splash that duck's going to make? And we used a combination of selection tools. Over here, we use the magic wand tool to select by color. We use the selection brush. You can use any of the lasso tools. You just have to remember that if you use one of the selection tools, to make sure you have Add to Selection highlighted. And when you want to go back and if you've made a mistake and selected too much, hold down the Alt key. And then then you can paint over it and remove that part of the selection. Okay. Well, I hope you find this informative. Okay. Thank you.